Hello. Hi. How are you guys? All right, let's just see. I always forget to put my hair up. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those days today where you gotta get a lot of stuff done. So I'm just gonna hop right to it because this is the prep video for the Anchor Stitchalong, which is a free Stitchalong that I teamed up with Anchor to do. It looks like this. And then you also get the black and white really clear copy for you to trace. And I'll show you how to do that. Hello. And then there's also a little FAQ on their website as well. And the good thing about this is that it answers a lot of questions that you might have. And it also shows a little colored in copy and all of the colors that we'll be using. So if you ever have a question about, oh, what color do we use for this or whatever, it'll be in the description of the video, but you can also have a peek here and have a little idea of what it'll look like. And yeah, so there's all kinds of like answers to questions on here. And if you've got any other questions, you can always ask me. So that's what I'm here for. Hi, Hannah. And lots of people that I recognize, and I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so I know it's lunchtime, but I thought I'd do it at this time because we can get it all out of the way, and then I can put a little question box in my stories just in case. So I'm just going to run through all the different materials that there are that you can have, including fabric types, how to put the pattern onto the fabric, all the different colors that we'll use, all the different utensils. I'll literally go through everything. And if you've got any questions, you can either ask them at the end, you can DM me, or I'll put a little question box in my stories later. And then, yeah, we'll just get started. So the first thing, obviously, are some of the little tools that you'll need. So I like the embroidery scissors that I have. They've got a slight curve to them like this, so I can really get in there and snip them. But you can use any kind of scissors. So if you've got regular like kitchen scissors, the only thing I wouldn't say is to use like your children's scissors. Like try and make them the sharpest ones you can get. But yeah, any kind of like kitchen scissors or like craft scissors and anything like that would be perfect for cutting the thread. You can also use a needle threader if you're having a hard time. These are my favorite kinds to use. They're just like a metal like this, and you've got a small hook on this side, and you put them through the eye of your needle and then put the thread up in that hook and pull it right through. And that really helps if you ever have trouble threading your needle. So they also make ones, they have, they're like a metal loop, and then they've got like a flower, or you can find all kinds of different ones. But they look a little bit different than this. They've just got a really thin, like metal wire loop on them. Those aren't my favorite. They always tend to break. They're very cheap though. These are cheap too. So it's really just a personal preference type thing. Needles. So I like the 1 to 5 pack that you can get. You can also get them from John James. Mine are antique needles. So mine are going to be a little bit different because I got them in an antique sewing box from a lady who did a lot of sewing, a lot of knitting. So I've got a ton of them. This is my favorite one. I use it for literally everything. But yeah, you can get like a 1 to 5 pack, and I'll show you what that kind of looks like here. I think I only have the DMC ones actually. Oh, no, that's the Chanel needles. Okay, so they look like this. It's a 1 to 5 pack, so you can get lots of different kinds all in one pack. Some people like the Chanel needles. They're a little bit thicker, shorter, but they have a bigger eye here. It's completely up to you what you want to go for. I always try and match the thickness of the needle to how many strands. So if I use 6 strands, I like this one because it's nice and thick, and it matches the amount of strands that are approximately 6. Yeah, the thickness. So if you have a look at that, it's almost the same. If I use less strands, then I tend to use a thinner needle. So I've also got a 2 or 3 strand needle or a 1 strand needle. Do you need all of these needles? No, you do not. You could probably get away with just getting one or getting a multi-pack and calling it a day. Honestly, I use this one for 90% of everything. So you can totally use one needle. But yeah, if you've got any questions about needles, I'm always happy to answer. A lot of times, if you're having a hard time, change your needle. So either make a bigger one, smaller one, a little bit longer. It's all like it's a personal kind of thing, I feel, because something that works for me might not work for you, and something that works for you might not work for me. So this is a really inexpensive way to kind of up your game. If you're kind of thinking, I don't love this, something's not right, change it. Change your needle and see if that will help. So there's that. The next thing is obviously all of the threads. So these are all the colors that we're going to use here. And they're also listed in the pattern. So if you want to go and grab those, they have been talking to Lovecrafts to see if they can do like a bundle situation where you can just click the thing and it will all go into your cart. I'm not sure if they're able to yet. They're still waiting for a reply. So you can still go to lovecrafts.com. They have a USA website and a UK website, and you can click and find all of the different colors and put them to your cart, and they'll ship them right to you. So that's great. If you're in America, they've also started doing anchor spools. So I haven't got an anchor spool yet, but it's literally like a spool, like a spool of thread. I don't even have a spool of thread to show you what I mean, but it's the regular 6-stranded cotton. And that's actually what I was just showing a minute ago. This is 6-stranded cotton. So what I mean by that is that you can separate these here into 6 individual strands, and they are like twisted and wound up together. Hannah says these colors are so lovely. They really are. They're so pretty. I love anchor threads as well. So lush. So here we go. Let's just separate these so you can see them a little bit better. Beauty blogger. Here we go. So sometimes we'll use 1 strand, 2 strands, 3 strands, 4 strands. It just depends on how thick or thin a line that you want to get. So if we want to outline something with a really thin line, maybe we'll use 1 or 2. If we want a really nice thick fill, we might use 4 or 6. So it just depends, and that will all be in the instructions each day. So if you go to the live videos or to the YouTube videos, there'll be like a little arrow. So on the screen right here, I've got a little arrow here that says the Bummy Fox with an arrow. On the actual video, if you click the arrow, you'll get the description. And in the description, it will be the color that we used for that day. So the anchor color, they're down at the bottom. And then how many strands. And that's quite important because if you use different strands, you might get a thicker or a thinner line, which means it might look a little bit different. So again, you're encouraged to be creative. You can use as many or as few as you want to. That's like the best part about this. But yeah, if you want like the actual instructions, then you can like look at the description. Jessie, stop, please. Come on. Stop. Stop. No. Stop. That's Jessie. She likes to steal the show. It's also really windy and horrible here today, so she's a little bit upset that she can't go outside. All right, so we've got threads. We've got some tools. I think the last tool I'm going to talk about are some tweezers, and this is something that I've got just for stitching. So we're not like plucking hairs or anything like that with it. This is really good if you mess up and you would like to cut it out, and you can get all those little threads out really easily. So yeah, so that's pretty much all the tools and the threads. Now we'll talk about the tools that you'll need to put the pattern onto the fabric. And that's super important because some things you can erase, some things are quite permanent. So you kind of need to know which one to use. For what kind of fabric? Sorry, she's licking. It doesn't sound very nice. Normally she's sleeping. So, I mean, normally you don't even see her. So here we go. Let me get a small little piece of fabric, and then we can test out some of these markers and pens and stuff. We'll use this, and you can see which one might work for you. So a lot of people like to just use a regular pencil. I'm just going to tell you like the pros and cons of each one, and then you can decide for yourself what you might want to go and purchase. So obviously the first one's just a pencil. It makes a line on the fabric like this. The pros are that everyone's got pencils banging about in their house, so you don't have to buy anything special. The cons, obviously, it's really difficult to erase. So if you're going to use a pencil, you might want to stitch over the line. So for example, if you've got like a shape, yeah, you might want to make your stitches from here all the way to the outside of this line, just to cover up that pencil mark, because you can't erase it. And that's probably one of the biggest like cons about using a pencil. I know some embroidery artists love pencils and they use it for everything. So it just depends on what you like, really. The second one is the Erasable Pen. It's a disappearing ink. So this just evaporates in the air. You don't have to do anything. So the only disadvantage that this will be is that we're going to work on this project for 3 weeks. So you're going to have to keep redrawing your pattern over and over and over. You can get lots of different colors. This one's really, really old, but I like to show it anyways, because sometimes you don't want to get it wet, your fabric wet, or you don't want to get your project wet. And yeah, it might be something that you want to use. So that's the air dry disappearing ink. Again, I wouldn't recommend it, but I like to show it anyways. The next one is the Caring Water Erasable Pen. So this one erases with water. So you do have to get your project wet to erase it. And these ones, I've seen them in green, purple, blue. I think that's it. I think those are the only colors I've seen them in. But they look like that. And you do have to get them wet, like really wet. So at first, I've tried to just like spray them with a water bottle and just like a little bit, but then you end up getting like a little water ring around where you spray. So you have to really like saturate your whole fabric to get these pens out, but they are super good. They don't leave any marks behind or anything like that. If you do see like a blue water ring, it's just that you didn't get all the ink out. That's all. So I do like to use these if I don't mind getting my project wet. If you're going to do any kind of work on dark fabrics, I like to use the Jelly Roll white pen. This is also not erasable. I can't remember if this one erases with a little bit of water, if you have a little bit there, not, I can't remember, but it's really great for dark, I'll just show it on the dark fabric, for dark fabrics. Because it's literally just a white Jelly Roll pen. So you can see really clearly. Just a regular gel pen. But it is nice to know. Again, that one is another one you're going to have to stitch kind of on the line or a little bit past it, because it doesn't really erase with, I can't remember if it erases with water or not. But it is really good to use, especially if you want a darker color fabric. So the very last one is the Friction Heat Erasable Pens. So these are actually friction erasable pens, meaning that you can draw like this, and you use the eraser on the back, and with the friction, you erase it off. But people have also found out you can erase them with heat. So with a hair dryer, with your iron. I like the hair dryer because it's like easiest. But you can also use an iron and it like zaps it away. Now on dark fabric, if you erase it, it turns white because it doesn't actually become invisible. Do you know what I mean? It just turns white. So that's the only thing. I have found though that sometimes they'll leave a little ghost mark when you erase them, like a light yellow ghost mark. But I put a couple drops of water on that and it erases completely. So they come in different thicknesses, the lines. So the tips here. So you've got 5, 7, and 10. I tend to do like blue, black, purple, green is another good one that I have bought a lot and included in my kits before. But I try and stay away from like pink, red, orange. Those seem to kind of linger a little bit longer on the fabric for some reason. So I'll just show you how thick and thin these lines are. I tend to use the 7, which is the middle, for like the actual outline. And then I'll show you any kind of details with the 5 because it's much thinner. So there's I'll do 2 lines of each. There's the 5 and the 7. And that's the 10. Ahoy there. Hi, Nem. So there you go. So I tend to use these 2 the most. The thin ones are really great for adding details or adding any kind of like stitch directions, which I'll often show you how to put guidelines on top of your fabric, on top of your shape in order for you to fill in the shape a little bit better. So yeah, that's pretty much it for pens. These, again, they erase with heat. You can get like the knockoff ones, I think, at Tesco. You can get the friction ones at Sainsbury's or where you get any kind of like stationery. What's it called? W.H. Smith's. They have them. Sainsbury's has them. If you're in America, Target has them. Someone said they found them at Walmart, but I've never been to Walmart, so I don't know. But yeah, Target is a good place. I think one of the office shops doesn't have them, and I can't remember if it's Office Max or what's the other one? Office Max or Office something else. But one of them has them and one of them doesn't. But there's a couple places you can get them. There's always Amazon as well if you really are desperate for one. But these are my favorite. You'll always find me using these to transfer my patterns. So let's talk really quickly about fabric, and then I'll show you how to transfer. And then I think that's pretty much it. There's a couple different ways to transfer as well. So I'll show you like 3 or 4. And that way you can choose based on if you've got a printer, if you've got an iPad, if you just have a computer, etc., etc. So I like to use just a plain 100% cotton. Looks like this. Right? It's not, there you go. Looks like this, 100% cotton, just white fabric. You can get, in America, they have at Joann Fabrics, you can get a Kona Cotton, which looks like this. I found this really gorgeous yellow. I don't know if I'm actually going to use it or not. I've got a little bit of this left. I don't know why it's not focusing very well. But you can almost see like little lines in it like this. Really, really nice. You can also use a linen, which I will show you that as well, which is this one. And if you look really closely, you can see the grain of the fabric a lot more clearly. It also has a bit of a more open weave. Like the weave is not as tight as a cotton. So if you can just focus on like the grain of the fabric, you can tell this one's way more open and loosely woven. This is a linen, and this one is a little bit tighter. So you can get linen. It's normally in its own section, and it's normally a little bit more expensive. So if you go to some place like Barry's in Birmingham here, they don't have an online shop, but I think it's like £13 for a meter, which is a little bit over 36 inches, I think, or under. That's a yard. Whereas cotton can be really cheap, like $2.99. So it just depends on how much you want to spend. You also do not have to get a full yard or a full meter of fabric. We are not playing right now, girlfriend. You can get as small as you want. Some places have minimums. I think Joann Fabrics is a fourth of a yard, or it might be like 10 inches maybe. I can't remember. I haven't been there in so long. But you can always ask, like, what's the smallest amount I can get? So what we're going to use is a 10-inch hoop, and an 8-inch hoop, and I like to put 2 inches on each side. This is an 8-inch hoop, not a 10-inch hoop. I like to put 2 inches on each side, just so if I want to do something else with it later, I can always kind of change my mind, and I've got a little bit of fabric to work with. So yeah, we'll use an 8-inch hoop, so you need at least 12 inches there of fabric. You can also use something that you have around the house. So if you've got an old, like a pillowcase or a duvet cover, or one of my friends used one of those cotton shower curtains that you can get. Not the ones that go inside that repel the water, but like the fancy ones that go on the outside. She's actually started embroidery using a shower curtain, the cotton shower curtain. So you can always use something like that, or a tablecloth. If you've got an older tablecloth, maybe it has a couple stains on it or something, you can just cut around those. Can you just, I don't know what is her deal today. I thought that was thread and I just tried to pick it off. So yeah, so it doesn't really matter which one you use. The only thing that you need to look for is no stretch. So you can stitch on stretchy fabrics like t-shirts, something like this that's quite stretchy. You can stitch on this, but for this project, do not get a stretchy fabric. No. You want something with no stretch. So 100% cotton. You can get the Country Classics quilting cotton. So if you go into Joann Fabrics in America, and you can either turn left or turn right where all the plain colored cotton is, it's on bolts, and they're always up against the wall. Any of those plain colors is great. So the Country Classics is a little bit cheaper. I think it's like $6.99 or $5.99 or $4.99 for a yard. So again, you can get less than a yard if you want to. You can also get the Kona Cotton, which is a little bit thicker, but it's more expensive. And again, I think that one, I haven't been there in ages, but I think it's anywhere from $9.99 to $12.99 a yard. If you are in England, then there's a lot of places that do sell Kona Cotton. You can just Google Kona Cotton sellers, and there's lots of places that sell them. If you want something that's linen, you can do that as well. I get all mine from Barry's, and Barry's doesn't have an online shop. So if you're in Birmingham, you can go to Barry's Fabrics. Or if you are in Manchester, I believe they have a Leon's Fabrics there as well. They're like connected. They have the same stuff. You can also go to places like fabric.com or .co.uk. Isn't it so nice? Hannah says, I love that yellow fabric. It's much more like a mustard color, like in real life, than it is on the screen. I feel like this is very yellow. It's much more closer to, if you've actually got the threads already, it's closer to the color 306. It's like almost exactly. Whereas in real life, it's like a little bit more orangey, like a deeper autumnal mustard. But yeah, I don't know if I'll use that or not. I can't decide. I feel like it will look really nice, but I also want people to be able to see the stitches and to see the colors that we actually pick. So, like I said, in the little FAQ page, it shows you all the colors. I have that anchor color. It's literally this color. Yeah, that's what color the fabric is. But I believe these are the two colors I picked for the sunflower. That's my hair. So you kind of have to think that if the sunflower is going to be up against whatever color fabric you've got, then that might be too close. you know, you might have to do like a brown outline or something like that. What's going on with you today? Normally you're sleeping by now. So just have a think about that. So like if you choose a green fabric, you might have to pick one that's lighter or darker than this one. Same with if you want like a brown fabric, lighter or darker than this brown. Just be a little bit mindful, you know what I mean? Because you don't want to get into a situation where you've done 3 weeks of work and then part of it disappears into your fabric because you didn't like quite pick the right color fabric. So if you need to, just use white. It pops off the fabric really nicely. You can use a cream color like we just used in the last stitch along we did. I used like a creamy color like this. I do have a mint linen actually. I only have a small sample. Like a minty color. Again, it's much more green on the screen than it is in real life. But yeah, something like that would look really pretty. You could go super dark if you want to. This is like a really dark gray because all of the colors would really pop up off this color fabric. Yeah. So you can always kind of have a look and see if it works or not. Put them all on the fabric, and if any blend in a little bit too much, you know that you might have to change, or add an extra step and add an outline. So there's that. I think I covered fabric. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Can you stop? I'm telling you, man, I don't know what's her deal today. She like wants to be in the video, and normally she's sleeping. Or she's decided she wants a drink of water, wants to go out, but she doesn't actually want to sit with me, so sorry about that, guys. Okay, so hoops. I have just a regular bamboo hoops. There's lots of different levels to hoops. You can get the really fancy hardwood hoops. I know I've got an oval one over here. Here we go. They look like this. They're a little bit more expensive. But the only thing that you really need to look for is that when the hoop is closed all the way, there's no gaps. Oh, it would help if I put it actually in. Perfect. I'm only human, guys, okay? This is an 8-inch hoop, yep. And all of the materials are actually in the pattern. So you've got the cotton colors at the top here. And then in the FAQ page, there's also a full page that tells you all of the materials. So like they recommend an embroidery needle size 7. I couldn't even tell you how big or small that is because like I said, I use the same needle for almost everything. But yeah, it's all in here too. So if you do the FAQ, then there's that. So, okay. So when you put your hoops together, you've got an inner hoop and an outer hoop. The inner hoop and the outer hoop should have no gaps all the way around. And if you, oh, it's okay, it's separate. So Amelia said that there's only 2 pages. So in the actual download, there's 2 pages, but I'll do a swipe up in my, I'll put a link in my stories that you can click. And there's an extra FAQ, and it's kind of like a little blog post I did, I guess. And there she is. And it tells you a bunch of stuff, and there's other questions as well if you need. Like, I've never stitched anything before. Well, it's suitable for beginners, or I can't join at 10 a.m. Can I still do it? How much does it cost? When does it start? How do I download the pattern? So, like, there's a couple little questions here. Then there's a materials list. I think the last page is just like the bottom of the website because I printed it straight from their website. Yeah. So there's that, but I'll put a little link there for this one if you want like the actual materials list. Honestly, it's the same for almost all of my stitch alongs. So if you've done a stitch along before, which I know you have, it's exactly the same. Needle, get the threads, get a hoop, put the fabric in it, print the pattern. You're pretty much good to go. Grab some scissors. So yeah, so you're just going to want to make sure that everything is all in here. Hannah says that's so helpful. Yeah, so I put it in mine as well. If you look at the my patterns for Stitchalongs, they always have a little materials list too, because I feel like sometimes people, they just forget little things. You know what I mean? And it's nice to have a list. You can just kind of tick the boxes. Okay, so you just want to make sure that there's no gap. So I see I've got a small little gap right here that you can see through. If that happens, you can take a little bit of tape and you can tape up just that section. So for this one, I've had to tape the entire thing because this one was so wonky. You can do a little bit of tape and tape that, or you can take some cotton strips and bind your inner hoop like this. And it's just literally wrapping it around. And I use the tape again where my hoop was really bad. But I feel like the bigger the hoop, the more likely it's going to be a little bit wonky. So that's a 9 or 10 inch hoop, and this is only an 8. So I'm sure you'll be fine. If you do have questions, DM me, and I'm happy to answer those for you. Hi, George. He pops on every time I'm doing a live and says hi. It's so funny. So let's talk about putting your fabric in your hoop. So what you're going to want to do is unscrew the top like this. There's lots of different kinds of hoops. This one has basically 2 parts. So there's the hardware on the sides, and then there's the one screw top at the top. Other hoops you might find have another piece, which is this, which is a separate little like nut that goes on there. And then you've got a screwdriver hole to hold this nut with some pliers, and you can really screw that tightly. So you might have to get some tools out, depending on what kind of hoop that you get. But most of them are kind of like this, or they're like this and they'll have a screwdriver hole to get it really tight. If you don't have a screwdriver hole and you find that you can't get it tight enough with your fingers, take a piece of cotton, put it over the top and screw it like that. And that will often get you a couple more turns. So let's put this fabric into the hoop. We can cut out our pattern and I'll show you how to transfer. So, way. All right, so I've just cut this. Well, I've taken it from an old kit actually. And don't worry about this right here. Let's put it like that and zoom in a little bit like that. Okay, don't worry about this right here because we're going to actually tighten that completely up. And you're going to put your outer hoop on top of your inner hoop. And I always try, this is like a mega top tip. If you look really closely, you can see the grain of the fabric goes up and down like this. So I try not to get it on an angle where it makes an X. I try and get it so that the grain of the fabric lines up with the top and the sides of here. And that way I find that you're less likely to really manipulate your fabric or stretch it out in an odd way, which can sometimes happen. Okay, so we've got our fabric in. You're not done yet. Pick it all the way up and you're going to tighten it about halfway, and you're going to get this kind of like balloon, like fluffy, it's going to like hump up around the outside. Okay, tighten it a little bit. And then I'm pregnant, okay, so I've got a belly. But even before, when I didn't have a big belly, put your hoop against your belly, okay, and take both hands, and you're going to gently pull this down. So do you see how here it's nice and flat, and on each side you have the bubbles? So you're going to turn it a little bit and pull, okay? Not so hard. You're just going to like tighten that fabric up a little bit, because remember, we've only tightened it halfway. Okay, pull again, all the way around, all the way around. So I keep that hoop kind of tucked up against my belly, or like up between my boobs and my belly button, if that makes any sense. So you're going to tighten this all the way up. Okay? But don't stop there. You're not done. You're going to tighten this again. Do a couple more turns. And then you're going to tighten your fabric all the way around again. So we're going to put that up against our bellies again. There you go. And tighten that all the way up like that. All the way around. So you want to kind of tighten it a little bit at a time, and then tighten the ring at the top, or the screw at the top, and then around again, and then tighten until you cannot tighten it anymore. And what we're looking for is your fabric to be really tight like a drum. So when you tap on it, it sounds like a drum. That's probably all right. I'm just going to tighten it one more time. And again, if you cannot tighten it anymore, grab that fabric and really tighten it. And you might have to just kind of make sure that you don't have any bubbles or anything like that. A little bump is so cute. Thanks, guys. If only they wouldn't kick so much, you know? Like, I'm trying to work here, guys. All right? Can you just chill in there? Okay, so when you, can you hear it? Oh, music to my ears. I love it. So once you get that nice drum sound, okay? I like to take my scissors. Oh. Hi, Mel. Morning again. I like to take my scissors. I'll just and make it a circle. And the reason that I like to do this is because as you're stitching, you're basically making loops with your thread. And what always happens is these corners here get tucked in the loop, and then they get stitched to the back of your hoop. And it always happens to me. But when you've got a circle, it doesn't happen. So again, I'm not being scientific here. I'm not using a ruler or any of that nonsense. I'm just cutting this around in a circle. Now, notice how much I leave on the outside here, okay? Quite a bit. And that's because I can't commit to leaving it in the hoop forever. I never know. Maybe I'll want to make it into a banner. Maybe I'll want to stitch it onto a bag. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. All I know is that I need the hoop to stitch it right now. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to leave it in the hoop and do that. So this is what we're left with. Okay, I hate it when that happens. Yes, it always happens to me if I forget, or if I've got a really small hoop and I think, oh, Tori, it'll be fine. Just stitch. It'll be fine. And I always stitch them in, and it just, every single time I get so mad because I'm like, why didn't I just cut it? That's so stupid. Okay, so what we've got so far is our fabric that's nice and tight. We've got our pattern right here. I've actually already printed one out. Okay. And the way that it's sized is so that the black line here fits on the inside of the ring. Here. Okay? So it should fit right inside like that. All right? So here's a couple different ways that you can transfer your pattern onto your fabric. So the first thing, obviously, is to cut it out. Like I said, I've already done that. Get out of there. Perfect, isn't it? All right, so the first way is if you have a printer, you can print it out and put this in your hand so it's nice and straight. Okay, so I like to do like the pumpkins as like a good guide. If you want to, you can put them a little bit on an angle if you kind of want them to look like they're falling out of the cornucopia or whatever. It's up to you how you put it in there. Okay, so you put it straight how you want it, and then I put it directly behind like this. Okay, So if this right here is the top, if you hang it from the top, this right here should be straight, and then flip it over. And my secret ingredient for doing these stitch-alongs is blue tack. Now my blue tack is really old. Doesn't look amazing, okay? So just bear with me here. Sorry, I missed the beginning of this live. Do you use linen as a fabric? I'm gonna save the video and you can go back and have a listen to all the different fabrics that you can use and all the ones that you shouldn't use. So after the video is over, you can go back and look on the IGTV on my account, or you can go to YouTube this evening and it will be up then. So you've got your pattern in, and what I like to do is put blue tack down onto the paper, but then also onto the wooden hoop like that. And this holds your pattern in place. I don't know why I'm pushing so hard. And you need to put it up on the wood because it won't actually stick if it's just on here. You have to really push it in there. And then you can use your utensil of choice. We've already gone through all of them. Mine's obviously this one. Okay, and when you flip it over and put your fingers on the back like this, you can see it super clearly to trace it. Okay? So literally just like that. And then trace it a little bit at a time. The biggest tip for tracing is don't look at it as a shape, just trace the lines. So don't think like, oh, I'm gonna do a flower now and try and like do a big flower. Just trace each line as it is. And if you have to take breaks, you can take breaks. You can put it down because it's in place here. Calm down. I wonder if someone's at the door. I hope not. But you can put it down, and because it's all like taped, not taped, blue tacked down. You can use tape too, but tape seems to fall off more for me than the blue tack does. Then you can pick it up again and just use your fingers to have a look like that, okay? The other way is to actually, you don't have to cut it out if you don't want to. You can literally just tape this to here or blue tack it to there on the table, okay? Flip this over this way, so you've got your hardware at the top, and put it on the table like that. Again, tape this down or blue tag it to the table so it doesn't move. And then you can take your utensil of choice and trace it that way. The third way is just like this, but it's on the window. So if you put this right here up to the window, like that, you can see it super clearly. Or if you've got a light box, you can put a light box underneath of it. Or if you have an iPhone with a flashlight on it, you can do it like that and then put the flashlight underneath and it will illuminate that area for you. The only thing with this is that when I stitch, I like to hold the inside of my hoop like this. So that's how I hold my hoop, which means I need the pattern on the front. So if you do it like this way and you trace it all out, you've actually got your pattern on the inside of your hoop. So if you have to trace it this way, you can. And if you like to hold it like this, you can stitch it just like this. Or you can take your fabric out, flip it around, and put it in like this so the pattern's on the front. So there's kind of one way, and that's like the printer way. If you do not have a printer, do not fret. You can still do this stitch along, okay? So I'm gonna put this away. If you've got an iPad, get your iPad out. Or any other like tablet type situation. Okay, so we've got your pattern here. All you're gonna do is blow it up so it's the right size. And like I said, the black circle should be on the inside of your hoop here. I think a little bit bigger. That's probably good. All right. Now on the iPad, you can use guided access. So if you go to your settings, like I've got an older iPad, so it might be a little bit different for you. If you go to your settings here and you go to general, is that true? No, accessibility. And then you can go to guided access, and I believe it's at the bottom, guided access, and you turn that guided access on. And what happens is it makes it so that you can't move your screen. So for mine, you click this button 3 times. No, I said 3 times. And you get something like this. And you draw a circle around where you don't want this screen to move. So anywhere that you don't draw the circle, you can still move them. So it says circle areas on the screen you would like to disable. So I like to disable all of this because I'm actually going to be tracing all of this. Yeah? And you can use these here to make them bigger or smaller, I think. Or you can try again. Like that. And then push start. And then you enter a passcode. It's a new passcode. So 1111. 1111. And this is started. So anything in the middle here that I'm touching, I can't move. So as I'm doing my pattern, I know that this pattern is going to stay exactly like that. I'm not going to be able to move it at all. So the only thing that I can move is my actual hoop. I've actually taped it in place before with the blue tack, like on the edges here, because I didn't want it to move. So you can try that as well if you want to. If you don't have an iPad, you can even do it on your computer. I don't recommend doing it this way, like loads, because I don't want to like ruin your screens, but I used to do this all the time. And it's exactly the same way. Let's see here. Here it is. It's exactly the same way. I have a really small computer, so because when I lived in Shanghai, we had to take our computers to school every day ourselves. So you do exactly the same thing, okay? Make it however big you want it. Is it a little bit faffy? Yeah. Can it work? Absolutely. So you trace what you can on your screen there. Okay? And then you might actually have to flip it around the other way so that you can do the rest, you know? But I've made it work many times with just my computer because I didn't have anything else. So you do not have to have a printer to do the Stitchalongs. I always find a way around it, don't I? So yeah, hopefully that is helpful. Nem said that this is his 4th Stitchalong and he does not have a printer. I love that. So cool. It just shows that you don't have to be able to print it out, you know? Everything else will be on either IGTV live at 10 a.m. Monday to Friday. Saturdays and Sundays are off. They're just catch-up days. So if you have to do a little bit more work on the weekends, you have that time. Or if you just want to rest, again, you have that time. And then I try really hard to put them all on YouTube, like that day or within 24 hours. But lately it's been more like I upload all of them on Fridays. And I'm sorry for that. But for this one, I'll try really hard to do it within 24 hours so that it's all ready for you guys to have it in case you need it. So yeah, I'll put up a little question box today as well, just in case anything wasn't clear or if you needed a little bit more help with something. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm done. So please, please, please come and join. We've worked really hard to make the Stitchalong super fun, really lovely autumnal colors, and to make it free for you guys. So yeah, tell your friends, get everyone involved. the hashtags for this one, it's the Barmy Fox SAL, and I believe it's Anchor Crafts and Anchor Threads. So be sure to tag me and tag them. I don't know if they're going to repost every single one, but the more people that tag them, the more it shows them that we're all doing it. Like, we're excited. We're all here. So if you didn't know, I'm Tori from the Barmy Fox. And yeah, I really hope you'll join. We start October 11th. It's a Monday. So yeah, I cannot wait. I really cannot wait. So enjoy your day. I'll talk with you again later. And yeah, I'll put all of the links for the pattern and the FAQ there in my stories, so you can click the link, because we don't swipe up anymore, do we? Click the link. So enjoy. Make sure do a little photo with all of your stuff prepped. Tag Anchor, tag me, and I'll be happy to repost for you. Just to show them we're all out here. We're doing it. So enjoy. Have a lovely Thursday and the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you again for sure on the 11th. So bye.